First, I have to ask you a question and be honest. Have you been endlessly searching for that one magic shortcut? You know exactly what I'm talking about. That hidden hack, that perfectly condensed outline from a third-year student, or that one genius piece of advice that's going to let you bypass the absolute mountain of hard work. It is so incredibly tempting to look for an easy way out, especially when those reading lists start piling up on your desk like a small skyscraper.
Well, let's just shut that idea down right now. There are no shortcuts. Zero. If you're hoping for a secret hack to getting good grades without breaking a sweat, it just doesn't exist. It turns out the foundational basics are what actually work. Long-term success in law school relies entirely on consistent, disciplined effort. Now, I know that might not be the flashy, effortless answer we all want to hear, but it's the honest truth that'll actually get you to the top of your class.
So let's get into the timeline. Phase 1, the critical first week.
From day one, minute one, you need to be highly strategic. The source strongly advises attending every single lecture for at least that very first week. Why? Because you're mapping out the professor's entire approach. First, you're hunting for their preferred source material. Are they teaching mostly from the textbook? Are they obsessed with specific cases? Or are they just reading off their own slides? Second, you're analyzing their teaching style to catch subtle hints about what they expect on the exams. And third, and this is a big one, you're watching to see if they discuss material that isn't in any assigned textbook, but is still highly likely to show up on a test.
Once you've cracked the professor's unique code, you can strategically allocate your energy for the rest of the semester. You'll quickly learn how to categorize your schedule. On one side, you've got your crucial classes. These are the lectures that are absolutely, non-negotiably worth attending. They demand your full, undivided attention because the professor regularly drops exam gold that you just won't find in the readings. On the other side, you'll identify the less important classes. Now hear me out. This doesn't mean you just skip them, but it does mean you know exactly where you can relax just a tiny bit, taking a breath while making sure you aren't being disruptive to anyone else.
All right, so you've mapped out the battlefield. That brings us to phase 2, the daily grind. Sitting through a class isn't going to kill you. So clear, there is almost no good reason to skip lectures in your first, second, or even third year of law school. Really, the only reasonable exception is if you've landed a genuinely worthwhile internship or a major, tangible opportunity that significantly boosts your career. If it's not a massive resume builder, you just need to get yourself to class.
So what's the actual payoff for just showing up? Well, professors notice attendance. Whether they do it consciously or completely unconsciously, knowing who is regularly in their classroom heavily influences how they evaluate you. It can sway your grades on group projects, presentations, and your class participation score. Even more critically, let's say you're sitting on a frustratingly borderline grade at the end of the term. Being a familiar, reliable face might just be the thing that tips the scale in your favor. Plus, a lot of colleges award literal, actual marks just for attendance. Those are basically free points. And if there's one thing we know, it's that law students will fight tooth and nail for every fraction of a point. So grab the free ones while you can.
But let's clarify something super important. Passive attendance, meaning you just physically show up and breathe the classroom air, is not going to cut it. You need active attendance. This means actually listening to the nuances of the discussion. It means taking your own original notes instead of just staring blankly at the whiteboard. And it means actively marking down any doubts you have in the moment so you can clarify them later. You really have to be engaged with the material in real time.
And guess what? The work definitely doesn't stop when you walk out of those classroom doors. Step 1, go read the actual case that was just discussed in the lecture. Step 2, read the assigned background material for that specific topic. You just can't outsource your understanding in law school. You have to go straight to the primary text yourself.
Doing this daily connects directly to a massive long-term benefit. By taking the time to grapple with and truly internalize the source material right after class, you're essentially gifting your future self a much, much easier time. When exam season finally rolls around, and it always creeps up fast, your revision period is going to be incredibly smooth and significantly less stressful, all because that foundational knowledge is already locked in your brain.
Fast forward a few months, and we arrive at phase 3. Exam execution.
The difference between success and total failure here is stark. On one hand, we have consistent revision. Because you put in the daily grind all semester, your prep time before exams is exactly what it's supposed to be, actual revision. You're just reviewing familiar concepts. Now contrast that with night before cramming. Trying to cram an entire complex subject into your brain one day before the exam is deeply stressful and frankly, it rarely ever works. It's not revision at that point, it's first-time learning under a ticking clock, and that is a certified recipe for disaster.
And this ties directly into your physical state when you finally sit down to take the test. A well-rested brain performs infinitely better than one that is running on nothing but 5 espresso shots and pure panic. This is ever sacrificing your sleep for last-minute cramming. Because if you followed the daily grind, you won't need to pull an all-nighter anyway. You can actually prioritize your sleep, making sure your mind is sharp, highly analytical, and ready to perform the second you open that exam booklet.
So let's bring it all together. Conclusion, the simple formula.
The non-negotiable law school formula is really this straightforward. 1. Attend your classes. 2. Pay attention actively while you're there. 3. Take your own notes. 4. Read the assigned cases yourself. 5. Revise consistently over the months. And 6. Sleep well before your exam. You are highly likely to end up with a great GPA. There's no magic trick here, folks, just incredible, persistent discipline.
But why put yourself through this? What is the real takeaway from this grueling routine? Because these mundane, everyday habits tie directly to massive real-world career stakes. A top-tier GPA is basically a master key that opens almost every door you'd ever want to walk through. It paves the way for elite recruitment. It secures those highly competitive internships, unlocks vital scholarships, and lays the absolute best foundation if you're looking at higher studies. The discipline you're building right now in that classroom literally shapes your professional tomorrow.
Which brings us to the source's final, poignant, and maybe slightly desperate plea: please just attend class. The whole shebang starts right there. So, tomorrow morning, when that alarm goes off and you're tempted to stay in bed, ask yourself this. Are you hitting snooze on just another boring morning lecture, or are you hitting snooze on your entire future career?
Just trying to wrap your head around the legal world a little bit better? Consider this your official invitation. Subscribe to Detiksha Legal.